Listen carefully, because this may be the turning point your heart has been waiting for. What if the battle in your life is not only about money, bills, pressure, or closed doors? What if the real fight has been deeper, hidden in fear, hidden in silence, hidden in the words you repeat when no one is around? Stay with me, because in the next few moments, you are going to hear a powerful truth that can shake loose what has been stuck for far too long. There is a psalm filled with peace, authority, and provision, and when it is spoken with faith again and again, it does more than comfort the mind. It confronts lack, it breaks inner fear, it lifts the weight of not enough. If you feel tired of surviving, if you feel drained by pressure, if you are ready for a shift in your home, your thinking, and your future, then do not scroll away. Hear every word. Let it enter your spirit. Because what you repeat in faith can reshape the atmosphere around your life. And before this message is over, you may begin to feel something change. Maybe not noise, maybe not hype, but something real, something deep, something that tells you the season of barely getting by does not have to define the rest of your story. Stay until the end, because the words you are about to receive are not small, and the next season of your life may begin with one verse spoken out loud in faith. Poverty is not only a condition of the pocket. Many people think lack starts in the bank account, but often it begins in the soul, in the private places where fear keeps talking and hope grows weak. It is that voice that says there will never be enough, that your family will always struggle, that your hard work will never turn into peace, that your dreams will stay buried under pressure. But that voice is not the final word over your life. There is a greater voice. There is a word from God that cuts through panic, breaks dark patterns, and restores the heart before it restores the hand. And when a certain psalm is read with faith for 3 days, something begins to move, not because of empty ritual, not because of magic words, but because truth, when spoken with belief, starts to drive out the lies that have lived too long inside a person. Read it once, and it may comfort you. Read it again, and it may steady you. Read it with faith over 3 days, and it can begin to break the cycle of fear, lack, and inward defeat. Closed doors can open, heavy thoughts can lift, old patterns can lose strength. Even what seemed to run through your family line can begin to loosen its grip. This is what happens when heaven's language starts filling your mouth. You stop begging like someone forgotten. You begin speaking like someone who still belongs to promise. And that shift matters more than many people realize. Because once your inner world changes, your outer world no longer has the same power to rule you. There is a reason the Psalms carry such deep force. They are not just soft poetry for sad days. They are living words. They speak to fear. They strengthen the weak heart. They lift the eyes of a person who has stared too long at trouble. And they keep turning attention back to the true source. Your source is not only your job, not only your skills, not only the market, the economy, the government, the client, the contract, or the next opportunity. Your source is the Lord. And when that truth becomes alive inside you, desperation starts losing its control. This psalm fights the lie of lack line by line. It pulls your mind away from dust and panic and fixes it on the faithfulness of the one who provides, leads, protects, and restores. Listen to this carefully, because this part matters. When you read this psalm for 3 days, you are not trying to force heaven to move. You are bringing your own heart back into agreement with what heaven already said. And agreement changes everything. It changes how you pray. It changes how you think. It changes how you respond when pressure comes. Suddenly you are not speaking from fear but from trust. Not from panic but from promise. Not from survival but from stewardship. And if this is reaching you already, stay locked in, because what comes next may be the part your spirit has needed for a long time. This psalm speaks of more than basic survival. It speaks of green pastures, still waters, restored strength, guidance, protection in dark valleys, a table prepared even while opposition watches, a cup that does not stay half full but runs over. That is not the language of a life abandoned. That is the picture of a life covered, guided, and supplied. And this is why it matters so much when you begin declaring those words aloud. Every line becomes a quiet war against fear. Every verse pushes back against the belief that struggle is permanent and provision is rare. Every declaration confronts the inner agreement that says your household will always be under pressure. When you speak, I shall not want. You are not pretending life is easy. You are standing against the lie that lack owns you. When you speak, you prepare a table before me. You are declaring that opposition is not strong enough to cancel what God has set in motion. When you say my cup runs over, you are training your spirit to expect more than just enough. This is not about greed. It is about freedom from the prison of always fearing there will not be enough. And yes, hear this clearly, because many need this right now. You do not have to know where the breakthrough will come from before you begin trusting for it. You do not need to understand every detail before you speak the word. Faith often starts before the evidence arrives, and the atmosphere can begin to change long before the visible results appear. Many people live under financial pressure for so long that it starts to feel normal. Debt becomes normal. Fear becomes normal. Delay becomes normal. Anxiety becomes normal. A scarcity mindset becomes normal. The family starts speaking the language of limitation without even noticing it. They do not dream freely. They do not give freely. They do not expect open doors. They prepare for disappointment before opportunity even arrives. But what has become normal can still be broken, and often it breaks when truth is applied consistently, not casually. This is why repeating a psalm in faith over 3 days matters. Repetition with faith is not empty. It is focused. It is steady. It presses truth deeper. Day 1 begins to disturb the heaviness. It unsettles what has been sitting too comfortably over your life. Day 2 starts confronting the inner patterns, the hidden thoughts, the old wounds, the beliefs shaped by lack, pain and disappointment. Day 3 becomes a line in the sand. It becomes a moment of spiritual resistance, where what has ruled your mind and emotions no longer gets easy access. You may not feel fireworks. You may not see instant results. But something begins to shift when truth keeps entering the atmosphere. This is why you should not stop too soon. Keep listening. Keep declaring, keep leaning in, because some battles do not break with one emotional moment. They break with steady truth, repeated until fear no longer feels at home in your heart. Generational lack often moves quietly. It hides inside family habits, old sayings, fearful thinking, and silent expectations. It shows up in the stress around money, in the fear of giving, in the shame of asking for help, in the belief that increase belongs to other people but never to us. It can hide in phrases repeated for years, words spoken in frustration, vows made in pain, and decisions shaped by panic. But when you begin to speak God's word over your life, over your home, over your children, over your future, you interrupt that story. You stop feeding the old script. You start writing a new one, and that matters, because the next generation often inherits what the previous generation normalized. If fear is normalized, fear gets passed down. If silence is normalized, silence gets passed down. If not enough becomes part of the family identity, children grow up expecting limits instead of expecting God. But when truth becomes the sound inside a home, the environment changes. Children begin hearing confidence instead of dread. The household begins carrying peace instead of constant pressure. Decisions begin flowing from wisdom instead of panic. This is how the word becomes more than comfort. It becomes a new culture. It becomes a banner over the family line. It becomes the sound that says, the old cycle stops here. And if that is your prayer, do not just hear this passively. Make it personal. Make it intentional. Say the words. Fill the room with them. Let your own ears hear what your mouth is declaring. There is no magic in speaking words if the heart remains closed, but there is great power when faith and truth meet. Speak the psalm aloud. Let your ears hear it. Let the morning hear it. Let the rooms of your house hear it. Speak it over the bank account, over the bills, over the empty places, over the places where you feel pressure the most. Let it rise early. Let it come back at noon. Let it whisper peace over the night. Do not speak like someone chasing scraps. Speak like someone returning to covenant. Speak like someone who is tired of letting fear narrate the future. You are not trying to impress God with volume. You are aligning yourself with what God already said. That is why even a quiet whisper spoken with faith can carry more weight than a loud prayer filled with doubt. And if you feel resistance, do not stop. Resistance does not always mean nothing is happening. Sometimes resistance is the sign that truth is hitting something that has been in place for too long. Stay with the process. Fast if you feel led. Write down what shifts in your thinking. Write down open doors, write down new ideas, write down unexpected peace. Write the testimony before the full answer arrives, because expectation makes room for what God is already preparing. And yes, keep watching, because the part many people miss is not only the declaration, but the transformation that starts happening inside the one who keeps declaring. Lack is not broken by income alone. Some people earn more and still live under fear. They still hoard. They still sabotage good things. They still expect loss. They still panic at the thought of giving or investing or stepping into opportunity. That is because the deeper issue is often not money first. It is belief. It is identity. It is inner agreement. And this is why truth matters so much. Truth does not only inform you, it delivers you. It uproots false ideas and replaces them with something solid. When you speak a psalm filled with peace, provision and trust, you are planting a different pattern in the soul. You are teaching your heart that God provides. You are training your thoughts to stop bowing to fear. You are replacing the old inner law of never enough with a new inner law of trust, wisdom, peace and expectancy. Slowly the voice of fear weakens. Slowly your reactions change. You stop shrinking from every bill. You stop assuming every opportunity will fail. You stop treating increase like danger. You stop seeing yourself as forgotten. And once that inner shift begins, your decisions start changing too. You save with wisdom. You give with peace. You plan with courage. You move with clarity. That is why daily declaration is more than emotional encouragement. It is reformation. It is renewal. It is the rebuilding of the inner world. And once the inner world changes, the outer life begins to reflect it in ways you could not force by anxiety alone. When the word keeps being spoken, the atmosphere around a person changes. Fear no longer gets the same room to breathe. Pressure no longer sounds as powerful. Hope starts returning in quiet but steady ways. You begin to notice ideas you would have ignored before. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw walls. You begin to sense peace while looking at the same circumstances that used to crush you. And that is important, because many breakthroughs begin inward before they appear outward. A person first becomes stronger in spirit, then steadier in mind, then wiser in action, then more open to what God has already been placing around them. Doors open, connections appear, timing shifts, clarity comes, new discipline grows, courage returns. And through all of it, the psalm keeps doing its work. It calms fear, it corrects vision, it restores perspective. It speaks over your spending, your saving, your building, your giving, your trusting. It reminds you that provision is not only about getting more money. It is also about becoming whole enough to carry what comes. Because increase without wisdom can still become pain, but when the word prepares the person, blessing can be handled with peace. That is why this matters so deeply. You are not only asking for help, you are becoming ready, you are becoming steady. You are becoming the kind of person who can carry the answer without being ruled by it. Make this your daily language, not once in a while, not only when you feel desperate, not only when a crisis appears, daily, while driving, while cleaning, while working, while walking, while waiting. Let scripture become natural in your mouth, because what you repeat becomes familiar, and what becomes familiar begins to shape your atmosphere. The enemy does not fear an occasional emotional moment as much as he fears a believer who keeps speaking truth every day until it becomes normal. That kind of consistency builds something. It builds strength. It builds endurance. It builds inner peace. It builds a life where fear no longer has easy access. At first it may feel strange. You may not feel every word. Keep going. The soul responds to repetition. The heart learns by hearing. And what begins as discipline can become delight. What begins as effort can become instinct. Eventually, when pressure comes, your first response is no longer panic. It is truth. When a need appears, you do not collapse. You declare. When the report looks heavy, you do not surrender your peace. You speak the word. When opportunity feels too big, you do not back away in fear. You remember who leads you. This is how the psalm moves from page to life. This is how it becomes more than language. It becomes atmosphere. It becomes memory. It becomes reflex. It becomes your sound in the middle of uncertainty. And hear this part with all your heart. The goal is not only money. The goal is wholeness, peace, stability, freedom from inward torment, wisdom to handle what comes, joy without shame, rest without fear, enough to fulfill your assignment and bless others on the way. That is real prosperity. It touches the spirit, the mind, the home, the relationships, the future. It does not leave a person empty while appearing successful on the outside. It brings health to the inner life so the outer life can be built on something strong. As you speak the psalm daily, your home begins absorbing its sound. Your children hear it. Your decisions reflect it. Your budget feels different. Your giving feels different. Your thoughts about the future feel different. You begin to stop treating money like a master and start seeing it as a tool. You begin receiving provision without guilt and releasing generosity without fear. This is what happens when truth gets repeated long enough to go deep. It starts affecting choices, and choices shape outcomes. So do not think these words are small. Do not think daily declaration is a light thing. It may look simple, but repeated truth has rebuilt many lives from the inside out. If this is helping you, stay all the way through, because the next lines may be exactly what you need to start saying over yourself from today. Faithful repetition turns a verse into a weapon, not because the words are used mechanically, but because spoken truth keeps striking the same place until the old lie can no longer stand. One hit may not seem like much. 2 hits may still look small, but keep striking in faith, and what once looked solid begins to crack. That is how strongholds break, not only by one dramatic moment, but by truth pressed in again and again until it settles deeper than fear. When you keep declaring, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," you are doing more than quoting. You are reordering your expectation. When you say, "He prepares a table before me," you are reminding your soul that opposition does not cancel provision. When you say, "My cup runs over," you are choosing abundance language over survival language, and language matters. Words are not empty, they shape the atmosphere of the heart. They influence vision, they affect endurance, they train the mind toward either peace or panic. That is why you must guard what your mouth repeats. If fear keeps getting repeated, fear becomes stronger. If truth keeps getting repeated, truth becomes deeper. And once truth takes root, it starts producing fruit, peace, wisdom, courage, steady faith, better decisions, open eyes, cleaner thinking, stronger hope, and eventually the life that once felt trapped begins to breathe again. There will be days when you feel nothing, days when the bills still sit there, days when the pressure still feels loud, days when the answer has not shown up yet. Speak the psalm anyway. This is where many people quit too soon. They stop because they wanted instant feeling, instant proof, instant relief. But some of the deepest changes happen quietly first. The word is still working when you do not feel it. It is still washing fear out of the mind. It is still softening the heart. It is still building expectation. It is still creating room for clarity, wisdom, favor, and timing. By day 30, 60, 90, many people look back and realize they are no longer reacting the same way. They are no longer afraid in the same way. They are no longer stuck in the same patterns. Opportunities are opening. Peace is stronger. Discernment is clearer. Pressure no longer owns the emotional atmosphere. That is not small. That is breakthrough in motion. The outer answer matters, yes, but the inner liberation matters too. And often the inner freedom is what allows the outer increase to be handled well when it comes. So keep the word moving. Keep it in motion. Keep it alive in your mouth. Silence has helped fear long enough. Let truth speak now. Let faith breathe now. Let the sound in your home change now. Let the next season hear a different voice. And now make this personal. Say the words with meaning. Say them with hunger. Say them with quiet confidence, if that is all you have today. But say them. The Lord is my shepherd. I will not live abandoned. I will not bow to fear. I will not make an agreement with lack. I am led. I am guarded. I am restored. I am guided on right paths. Even in dark valleys, I am not alone. A table is being prepared for me. My head is anointed. My cup is not drying up. It runs over. Goodness and mercy are not far from me. They are following me. They are finding me. They are staying with me. Let those words settle into the deepest places of your life. Let them answer the panic. Let them answer the shame. Let them answer the memory of past struggle. Let them answer the fear that tomorrow will look like yesterday. Because tomorrow does not have to repeat what yesterday taught you. There can be a new sound in your life, a new peace in your home, a new strength in your spirit, a new wisdom over your decisions, a new courage in how you face the future. Keep speaking, keep believing, keep declaring, not as performance but as alignment, not as pressure but as trust, not as noise but as faith. And as you do, let this settle in your heart. Lack is not your identity, fear is not your master, silence is not your future, and this season does not get the final word over your life.